Hello and welcome to the C3 podcast. You may notice that Steve is not here today. I got a text from him about 10 minutes ago. There was something about a trailer hitch in Arizona, Yuma, Arizona. I don't know. He's in Arizona. There's a trailer hitch involved. It might be medical. I don't know what's going on exactly
along those lines.
Up in the right-hand corner there, we have Mr. Brett Lawson, the Gameday Huddle, sports nerd stuff, pods and shows and nerdy sports things. Down on the bottom left there, we got Mr. Paul Vato. You know him from MADtv. You know him from TED. You know him from, God, this dude will sell anything if you stick it in his hand and give him $1. Do you want your 30 seconds now, Paul, to plug your crap?
Ooh, early.
Well, first of all, it's not crap.
Can we just get it out of the way? Just go. 30 seconds.
Let's just get it out of the way. You know, when people tune in, well, of course they want to see me shill my stuff. I happen to be wearing Parse rum. Please drink Parse rum. More importantly, just go to paulvato.com. And from there, you can then see all of my projects. Vato Gold, time to invest in gold. But if you don't want gold, if you don't want solid stuff like that, then you know what? Vato Coin. How about picking up the Vato Coin? Or buy my book, The Kama Sutra. But tell you what, you just go to paulvato.com, and from there, you will find everything. And guys, I got to tell you, this show is already 10 times better, and I don't know why. I don't know what's
10
missing.
times. Baggage.
So, you know what I love about that though is Paul is so you know that like efficiency is born out of laziness. Paul is like the laziest dude that I know, and he just took all of his promos and he's like, just go to the website. All the stuff is there. I said it once. I'm not going to say it again. Just check out the website. There,
boxes checked.
Did somebody say Gabagool earlier?
That was me. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the bottom right-hand corner there, he's usually off screen. Today he's on screen because we needed an extra today. So there's Mr. Erik Amaya, senior editor. No, I'm senior editor of Comic-Con.com. That's the editor-in-chief. Editor-in-chief. See, I was channeling Steve there for a minute, but no, that's the editor-in-chief of Comic-Con.com. He's technically my boss, but since this isn't a Comic-Con thing, I can tell him to go shut up and sit in the corner. But I'm not going to. But Erik, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I mean, by the time this posts, the movie will be out. But I saw Predator Badlands on Monday, and
how'd that go?
It's a damn good Predator movie,
right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's awesome.
Shockingly good. It is.
I was hoping that would be the case.
I mean, the same director who directed Prey, and it's amazing how he gets the Predator in a way literally no one has. Prey is better than Predator, right? Mm-hmm. And then Predator, and then maybe Predator Badlands would be like.
We were watching some of the Predator and Alien movies because my son, my 12-year-old, is really starting to get into some of the stuff that I'm into. And I showed him Prey, and I was like, you know what's really cool about this is that, you know, basically if these aliens have been around, they've always been around, and it's really cool that, you know, they bring in the indigenous aspect or whatever, and it's not like this huge.
Really
but then
unique.
he's like, what else does this kind of genre, you know, this rabbit trail down a genre go into? And then I showed him Cowboys versus Aliens, and I was like, and that comes from a comic book. So it's kind of a dumb movie, but it's a fun concept, and it comes out of comics. Now he's kind of looking at the comics and kind of looking at the whatever. So Prey kind of opened up this whole area that we can kind of relate on. And, you know, at 12, it's a little different because, you know, your bodies are changing, you're discovering romance and all kinds of whatever. And so you kind of lose connection with your parents. So I'm glad that we found that to kind of connect on. But Prey was fantastic. That kind of hooked me in.
Great origin story.
Both go see Predator or Badlands because it's kind of made for like tween, early teen kind of audience too. Like it's a boy's adventure, even though there is a woman in it, but she's also a robot. So take what you will with that.
Spoiler, what the come on, man. I was gonna go in completely blind, just knowing it's a Predator movie, have no idea
promos,
what the
no
was.
Trailers, right?
And now I can't watch it.
I tell you, even in all the publicity material, they tell you she's a robot.
Yeah. So. She's like on his back with like her without her limbs or something. Yeah.
She's actually rad.
Brett.
Yeah.
So rad.
All right, Brett. Hey, so the World Series just wrapped up. I know Brett wants to take a few minutes to talk about that.
Or
the Dodgers.
The whole show.
Jesus Christ. The Dodgers. So I'm obviously not a Dodgers fan. I love baseball. I love the way that this season played out because the National League West, seriously, for the first couple of months of the season, the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres were duking it out. They were like within a game of each other for first place in the West. Seeing the Dodgers and the Padres both go to the postseason was pretty amazing. And then seeing the Dodgers win the World Series, it's just been a great season for baseball. There's been wild stories all across both leagues.
Yeah.
And then dude, the kicked calls and the missed opportunities and just not knowing what the count is, and so many things played into it. I was mad. You know, I was telling kids in sports, like, don't let the officials make the decision for you. Like, play to where a bad call isn't going to make the difference. But dude, you can't make base running like errors.
That's what it came down to ultimately. No, and you're right. How often, and like especially in the sport of baseball, do we see an instance where the team who hit better and the team who pitched better, for the most part, the team who played better defensively, usually if you check those boxes, especially in the World Series, you're going to walk away with the Commissioner's Trophy.
If you check two of those boxes.
Bingo. And you're so right. And it's such, I mean, maybe the Dodgers are so good they're an anomaly. Maybe they are an outlier, but we saw essentially a team get outplayed in the World Series, a team bring their B game to the World Series and still win. And it just goes to show, like you just said, to beat the Dodgers, you have to break the Dodgers. And I talked about it on Student of the Game the other day on the Monday after. I did like 40 minutes to open the show on baseball because there was just so much to talk about in this series. So eventful. So much happened. I mean, you almost need notes and bullet points to keep track of it all because it was that exciting and that pulse pounding, let alone the Game 7, right? But when you give the Dodgers life and you do not go for that finishing blow, they're still in it. I don't care if you're outperforming them. I don't care if you have a lead. Next thing you know, Max Muncy's cutting into the lead. Base running errors. We saw base running miscues in Game 3.
Well, and what about game IQ?
Yeah, Game 6, IQ. Game 7.
The ball is wedged under the fence, but the rule is if it's easily playable, it's still live.
Yeah, and they throw their hands
because
up. Next thing you know,
run is going to score or it's not going to score. And the only difference, because if you grab the ball, they're going to just run the play. But if you sit there and you give it a chance, and it's like just knowing that there's a chance that it's going to get overturned and you're going to have a runner at second instead of a runner crossing the plate, ridiculous baseball IQ.
There was an element of savviness that the Dodgers had, whether it be their championship experience, whether it be just Dave Roberts putting in Rojas the last minute. He becomes the hero in Game 6. And in Game 7, right? All these opportunities for the Blue Jays to win it. You have the Addison Barger miscue off the second base that ends Game 6. Now you go into Game 7. You have IKF not getting a big lead enough off a third to where he could have scored. I mean, say what you want about the sliding head first, not force out. That's armchair quarterback stuff. But if IKF gets a bigger lead off a third on what should have been a secondary lead, Will Smith's foot on that plate doesn't matter because he's crossing plate beforehand and the Blue Jays are walking off the series. To beat a team like the Dodgers, you have to go for the throat. You have to put your foot on the gas. And as well as the Blue Jays played, them not doing that is the reason why they're still in the hunt for that Commissioner's Trophy after 32 years and the Dodgers are going back to back. So I'm with you. You can make the case like it's something that none of us wanted to see. A lot of people, who aren't Dodgers fans don't like it. But I would
be mad about the kicked calls
if it
wasn't for the missed opportunities.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. You can't. All right. Can't, like you said, you can't complain if you don't go for the finish. And the Blue Jays didn't go for the finish. And next thing you know, here they are. They repeat. Whether it's good or bad for baseball, I don't care because that was an incredible World Series, probably the best I've ever seen, start to finish.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Paul, did you watch any of the games?
All I know is that the Dodgers won. And I'm very happy about that because LA is like a second home to me, and the fact that you hate him so much. So yeah, 100%.
I don't hate. See, that's a misconception.
You're a Giant fan, though. You can admit it. It's okay.
I am a Giants fan. I love the Giants. But I don't hate any team. I love the rivalry between the Giants and the Dodgers. I love the rivalry between the Giants and the Athletics. I love the rivalries because I love the game. But we have 5 teams in California. There's no other team or no other state that's got more than 2. We've got 5 teams in California. And the fact that 3 of them were knocking on the door of the postseason and 2 of them made it and one of them won the World Series, like nobody else has that opportunity ever. So,
and you know what's cool? Let me just and I'm not even like trying to poke the bear. I love the fact for about 11 years now, Madison Bumgarner in 2014 is the gold standard of all-time great pitching performances in the postseason. And I'm not saying he's been surpassed, but isn't it fun that now we could at least have a debate? Now that what we saw from Yoshinobu Yamamoto in this World Series, we could at least throw his name in the conversation where Mad Bum isn't just so solitary alone at the top. I think that's good. These are the moments that even if you wanted the Dodgers to lose, they're going to stick out in your mind. And despite the heartbreak on the side of Toronto, this was just so good. If you were a baseball fan, even if you're bummed, you're still kind of happy because it's just a fitting conclusion to a great year.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. No, and the thing that's funny about Madison Bumgarner too is like 2010, 2012, 2014 is long ago that people are nodding as that's almost a separate era that we're going, wow, this is happening now that happened back in the early 2010s. Cool.
It's like stuff a legend, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that we can go and go to commercial now. And when we come back, we have a special guest, Mr. Aaron Long from Painted Dragon Studios. We've got some. So we've been talking about the difference between the small conventions and the larger conventions, and some of the issues that we have with the super conventions. And he has some experience because he goes to a bunch of the conventions. He goes to Fan Expo. He goes to GalaxyCon. He goes to Planet Anime in Kansas City. He goes to Planet Comic Con. So he's got this huge resume of big conventions that he goes to, but he's got issues getting into San Diego. And it's interesting to me that even with a resume and such a varied show schedule that he's got, that they still kind of give him a hassle to get into the show. So we'll bring Aaron on in the second segment here, but we're going to go to commercial, and when we get back, we'll get into that.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com.
Have I mentioned before that in every segment of that ad that we run, I look like a completely different human being?
Every time. It throws me off every time, too.
I mean,
Like,
that
the timeline. The timeline.
I'll be honest. That made the editing so much easier. Was the fact that if you're not paying attention, it looks like there are 4 different hosts.
Right.
I lost some weight. I cut the beard. I shaved. Yeah, cool. All right, so we're back. I guess this segment is here. I got to pull up the ads because Steve sent them to me. This one is Voodoo Brewery, located in the Art System downtown Las Vegas. They have nightly events, all kinds of activations, craft brew, and more. That's in Neonopolis, right next to Johnny's spot, isn't it? Yeah. Yep. So yeah, if you're down there at Neonopolis, see Johnny on the first floor at the Toy Shack. You see Johnny Borchata at the Nerd on the second floor, and on the third floor is Alebrijes, which is an awesome restaurant by Chef Paco and our friend Johnny. Cool. All right, so that guy who just joined us in the lower left-hand corner there is Aaron Long. Aaron is from Painted Dragon Studios. They describe themselves as traditional painters of all things epic and nerdy. They are regular vendors at huge conventions. Planet Anime KC, Fan Expo, San Francisco, GalaxyCon, Columbus, Motor City Comic Con. Those are all coming up. Good afternoon, Aaron. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
So I saw this Instagram post the other day, and if we could pull that up real quick, Eric. And this caught my eye because we've been talking about the differences between the smaller conventions and the bigger conventions, and kind of how, you have these niche, smaller local conventions. And if people just want to go get comic books, they can just go to a comics convention. And the bigger ones have, celebrities, and they have artists, and they have all kinds of stuff. You do a lot of these conventions, and every year you apply to San Diego Comic-Con. And this is what you were up against this year. You applied for 2 different booths. To try and double your odds of getting in. You paid 2 different deposits, $845 for a 10-foot booth and $307 for an 8-foot booth, totaling $1,152 with no guarantee that you're even going to get accepted. How did that go?
Yep. So this is my 3rd year applying to San Diego Comic-Con. The first 2 years, they didn't have this deposit system in place, and I just got waitlisted. Last year was actually interesting. They made a big oopsie. They sent out, after everyone had gotten their applications in, they sent out a email, which I thought I was special. They sent out an acceptance email saying, "Hey, congrats, we got you a booth. We'll get you a invoice here in a day or 2, and you've got yourself a Comic-Con booth for this year." And so I was like all excited, and I was calling all my friends, and we're making plans, and we're looking at hotels and looking at travel plans. And then about 2 hours later, they sent out a follow-up email and said, "Oh, sorry, that email was sent by mistake. Valid acceptance and waitlist emails will go out tomorrow. So everyone who just got that email, please disregard." And that was very disappointing because I thought I'd gotten lucky and gotten a spot. And then they were just like, "Oh, just kidding." And the next day I got a waitlist
right out from underneath you.
Yeah, I got a waitlist email the next day saying, "Sorry, weren't able to find you a booth this year. Keep trying next year." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that was a huge disappointment. Wow. But this year they have added this deposit system, and I'm familiar with this system since Fan Expo is another big convention business. They have conventions all over the United States, Canada, and they also require a deposit for your application. And it's for those, they actually charge 100% of the booth fee up front, and then and then they refund it after they waitlist you if they decide that you don't get a booth that year, and if you do get a booth, that's your payment for the booth.
Wow.
So one day when I was very early, this was about 3 years ago, very early into the vending world of going to Comic Cons. I'd done Planet Comic Con, that's in Kansas City. I did that, my local show. I did Artist Alley the first year, and then I got an exhibitor booth. I believe I got an exhibitor booth my third year at Planet Comic Con, and I made enough that weekend that I was like, oh, this is like real money. This is something that I could actually live off of. I made enough that one weekend to pay an entire month's worth of bills. And so I just started sending out applications, and I was looking at quitting my job and looking at like, what could this life look like? And so I sent out probably like 40 or 50 applications to different conventions all over the country. Didn't care how far away they were. I literally applied to all of the fan expos except for ones that were overlapping other shows. And in those applications, for a lot of shows, you have to put in your credit card information, and they charge your card if they accept you. And so it was something that, like, I wasn't super surprised that they were asking for my credit card information in the applications. And I thought that it was one of those ones where I was just putting in my card info, and then they accepted me. Galaxy, for example, does this. They take your card information in the application. They don't charge you anything. And then if they accept you, it could be like a week. It could be 3 months. That $800, $2,000, $4,000
times 50.
Whoa.
It's on. So you have to just make sure that credit card is always in a spot where you can pay those booth fees at any moment. Fan Expo, I didn't read the small print. I was just sending out applications one after another. Applied to, I think, 7 or 8 shows that day. And then I looked at my bank statement. This was before I had a business credit card. I only had like a couple $100 left in my bank account because I literally spent like $8,000 in the course of 45 minutes applying to fan.
That sounds like you used a debit card instead of an actual credit card. So that was real money. That was like actual. I had spent $8,000 of my pretty much my life savings at that point to apply to these shows, and I like both my wife and I were freaking out all day. I was sending emails to the showrunner being like, "Hey man, you got to refund me right now. Just deny me to those shows. Can I please get those refunds ASAP?" I literally just spent all my money on applying to these shows because I misunderstood that I was literally paying 100% of the booth fee up front in the application, and they would refund it if I got denied. And so that was a huge shock. Whereas, so nowadays, you gotta read those applications very clearly and know how much money you're spending to apply. And it was interesting. Now, San Diego Comic-Con, they're only charging 25%, which, I'm okay with that if it means I have higher odds of getting in.
And I'll ask both of you guys, Aaron and Brennan, has this been like kind of a reoccurring thing? Because I find it hard to believe what you basically laid out there is an honest mistake. It's kind of just oversight, and it's really just shows the volatility of it. Have other people that you guys know and have worked with in the convention space been jammed up with something like this? Because I feel if it could happen to you that way, it could probably happen to anybody at any given time if they just, like you said, don't read that fine print or, skip a step. Yeah,
I don't personally know if there are a lot of other people who have had this problem, but I have talked to a few people who have gotten confused in this step and accidentally spent a bunch of money just thinking they were sending out an application. So
that's brutal.
Well, and when you think about it, a lot of the vendors and exhibitors that are at these places are getting places on their own dime, and they are just mom and pop shops. Like Painted Dragon is very much this man and his wife. But when you've got Marvel and they're renting out the entire 3rd floor of the Javits Center for New York Comic Con or whatever, it costs them $1 million to do that, but they don't care. It's no skin off their back because that's such a small percentage of the operating capital that they have. But you're talking about like families that are trying to make money. Like he said, the smaller shows can pay an entire month's rent and studio and electricity and whatever, and they're relying on that income coming in. And so it's the smaller businesses businesses and the local comic shops or whatever that really feel the pain when this stuff comes up, because Marvel doesn't care, DC doesn't care, Fox doesn't care,
nothing for
It's
them.
pennies.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting to me. It's all like when we think of, the Hall H presentations, all these big brands and, intellectual property, it's no sweat off their back because they literally wake up, they spend money, they wake up and they make money. But I feel like what you guys are talking about, obviously for a show like this, it's going to be very relevant. It's almost like this is like a sleeping giant, right? It's almost like who else is this going to catch with their, where it hurts or bite them where it hurts? Because it's like it's you saying it doesn't necessarily surprise me that it happens, but in terms of how easy it can be to kind of go that route, if one or two things kind of goes off script, that's just crazy because next thing you know, not only like you just said, Aaron, not only are you jammed up as far as that given event for that given year, now financially you're jammed up for potentially years to come. So it's something that could so easily be forgotten and glossed over, but here we are and it happens to people. It's nuts.
Yep.
And then the next thing, it's San Diego CCI, they're nonprofit, where Fan Expo, Read Pop, and the others, they are for profit. So it kind of makes sense that CCI is kind of tiptoeing into this with the 25% thing, where the others like, no, pay us up front. Like, yeah, that makes sense, but it's dangerous because what happens if all of the for-profit promoters go into no pay us up front?
Yeah.
Well, question. Well, and how long before the funds are released?
If you get rejected, how long do they hold on to your funds?
They say it's within 2 months usually. I've never paid attention to when they come back in because usually it's like in the middle of show season and I'm traveling weekend to weekend, so I'm not like looking at my bank account looking for that deposit to come back in. But yeah, they usually say it's like after the show, and so like San Diego Comic-Con is the end of July next year. It's November right now. We've got months even until the show, and then after the show, we're looking at over 6-8 months before a deposit comes back, possibly. And maybe they'll release it earlier, but who knows? They are known to let people in, a couple of weeks or a month or two before the convention, and you've got like very quick, just a little bit of time to prepare for that event. And yeah, it can be.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that too. Is like some of the shows will give you lead time. Like they'll let you know right away that you got accepted so that you can plan for it, because you have to get, to get lodging for San Diego too. And we've talked about this on the show before. It's like you go into a lottery for a hotel, and then you're trying to get flights, and then you've got to get a car or whatever it is. And you've got to get your product there. So you've got, I've seen your booth. We've got a picture of the booth. I think Eric can pull that up. But you've got this massive drape system, and then you've got all of your product itself. And then you've got your, I'm sure they provide the tables and whatever, but you've got that whole modular system behind and all the hangers and everything. Like you've got to get that stuff there, and that takes some planning. So if they're not going to tell you until 2 weeks before the event, that's a lot of scrambling.
Yeah, GalaxyCon. I've had a couple of GalaxyCon events where they will call me. I had GalaxyCon Richmond this year. They called me 3 days before the event, letting me know, hey, there's a spot on the wait list if you want it, which is nice that they gave me the opportunity to get a booth at the show. But now I have to decide, okay, is this show going to be worth the last minute money it's going to take to get there? That weekend in particular, I was already signed up to go to WonderCon in California, which is the San Diego like sister show. And so I had to scramble. I was planning on flying my stuff to WonderCon, and it's a different setup than this. I have just those backdrops behind me and then whatever I can fit in a couple of suitcases. So I'm not able to bring the panel walls and the large paintings. But I had to decide, okay, now do I personally still go to WonderCon, or do I find a proxy or a friend to go and run the Richmond show, or vice versa? And so I had to decide to send my friend to run my booth at WonderCon and to get myself to Richmond GalaxyCon, which I have some friends that live like 5 hours away. And so I had to scramble and get a plane ticket switched over for him, and then get my friends to drive my stuff down because they have a van with the panel walls and everything. And so then I got myself a plane ticket to fly from Kansas City to Richmond, Virginia. And I had 3 days to make all that happen, and it was definitely insane. And that's not normal. That was a last minute, like, hey, GalaxyCon, there's this booth open now. We're gonna give someone else an opportunity to get this booth because this guy that was gonna be at this booth pulled out last minute, and gave me an opportunity to now be in that show. But yeah, it was definitely very stressful trying to manage all of that, all those moving parts of getting the plane tickets switched from my name to my friend's name, getting my friends to drive the stuff from Pennsylvania down to Richmond. Yeah, it was a
Now,
lot.
Paul, you've done like tobacco conventions with Vato Cigar, right? Like, what is your experience as a vendor or exhibitor at these bigger shows?
Man, kudos and applause to the people that come in from out of town. So just exactly, as you were saying there, coming in from out of town, getting your product there, getting, usually tables and tablecloths are provided, for a fee, of course, or whatever. Then sometimes you're battling with the unions, where, oh, no, you can't, load through the dock. Only the union can bring in, and the union has to bring it in. Like when we did it, luckily we had, we were in Vegas. And so even in Vegas, it's just all the hoops you have to jump through. And I didn't want to pay the $500 or whatever for load-in. So I'm just like, well, I'll just bring it in myself. They're like, well, then the only way you can do it is through the casino. I'm like, if the casino doesn't care, I don't care. So we rolled everything up at Dolly's and brought it right through the casino. And maybe it took us 1 or 2 trips, but we did it all ourselves and saved that money. So there are those expenses as well. And then sometimes you're looking at expenses for power. Oh, does your booth need power? That's another, so much money. So there's all these expenses. And then again, I was so lucky that we lived in Vegas. So we, as soon as we're done, go party, go to bed, come back and do it the next day. Right. I feel bad for the people that come in from out of town and have to do, and then party and do all that, and then wake up the next morning after sleeping for an hour or 2. But I love it because the business is there. You have to be there, and you make a lot of money, so it's worth it. But those are a lot of hoops to jump through.
Well, you said something about union
man.
too. The fee, what they charge you for, it's called drayage. And I remember I was at SEMA last year, almost a year to the day ago, and they weigh every single thing that comes in. So Catskin, who did the leather in my truck and did the leather on Johnny's car, the Deadpool leather, they did a 2-layer like Roman Colosseum where you go upstairs and there's a whole second layer. So that system that's holding cars and seats and stuff up top, it was super heavy, and they have to pay per pound for every single thing that they bring in because the union is bringing it in on forklifts and stuff from outside. So to bring it from outside to inside, they're charging you for every single thing that you bring in. It's ridiculous.
Man.
Luckily, cigars are light. And we could carry them in
under the arm.
I like that their threat was, you have to load through the casino. Like that's a fun threat.
Oh, through the casino. We had a big AstroTurf, for lack of a better word, because our theme was barbecue, 4th of July or barbecue. And so we displayed our cigars on barbecue grills as if we were grilling them on those, the hamburger things for the grill. So we had our cigars in there, and we were giving out. To this day, people still ask if we have and I should have gotten to that business, candy, chocolate covered bacon. We were giving that away. You come to our booth, you get chocolate covered bacon, and to this day, people still talk about it to incentivize people to come by. And I mean, the show was great.
If your product is a thing that's going to kill you, give them something else that's going to kill them to make them come in, right?
Rum, cigars, chocolate covered bacon.
Something that clogs an artery. Right. Let's go.
Sure. Right. I mean, I eat that every day, and look at me. I'm fine.
Still kicking, baby.
Paul is 22 years old, and he looks 67, and he's bragging about his diet and regimen there. It's
So Aaron, on the CCI thing, is that for small press or one of the more general tables?
Yeah. So the like the $1,000 deposit, that's for the 10 by 10 inline booth. So that's a 10 by 10 foot square inline space. The full booth is 3,730 or something like that. So that's for one inline. One inline is usually pretty useless as well. Most people aren't going to find success in a single 10 by 10 inline because people are moving so fast along those aisles that stopping for a 10-foot space is very difficult. The the lower one, can't remember how much that one was. That is for a 8-foot table. Yeah, the 300.
Looks like it'd be 1228.
Yeah, so it was the 3-foot or the 8-foot table. I don't know how far back that table goes, but that's for a Comic-Con booth, or a Comic-Con table. So I don't know exactly like how much space you get back in one of those, but it is a lot. It is significantly less than the 10 by 10 booth. And then for artists, there's also the Artist Alley option. Mm-hmm. And I missed the deadline on that. I didn't see when that deadline was open. So those are already all wait list. And those are, I think, like $800 or $1,000 for a 4-foot table. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so they have 8-foot tables and you share it with another artist. And so you have just 4 feet of space to display your stuff for the week. And those are still very, very difficult to get a spot at, because it is 100% rebook when you've done the show once. You're kind of in, and so those tables are very hard to get accepted into.
Aaron, no, go ahead, Brett.
Go ahead.
Oh, appreciate it.
I was just going to say, you see a lot more frequently now where the artists and the writers and stuff will be a group now, so that they can get a row of those 8-foot tables, and then they'll have different times that different people will be like the first chair, the second chair, the third chair, the fourth chair. You see it with like Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder. A lot of times we'll do it together, and Boom Studios will have a whole row of artists or a whole row of writers that are there, whatever, because it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like a lot of times the people who benefit most from the super conventions are, the movie studios and the writers and the artists and things like that. And I feel like it gets harder and harder for the people, like you're doing art, but if you were selling comics or slabs or collectibles or something like that, you'd have 100 competitors on the same row as you selling the exact same thing.
Right. Yes. And that kind of leads into my question. Does it ever get overwhelming for you to try to present yourself in a space like this for the super conventions, or as much like what Brennan just alluded to, is it not as overwhelming because since you kind of have your, carved your own niche and you've kind of established yourself with art as opposed to some of the other things that people are there for, do you feel that you're not as overwhelmed because you kind of stand out a little bit more?
I've definitely felt like I stand out from most other vendors. There's a couple of other prominent artist vendors who have really big displays with artwork, but I'm one of the few people who does like traditional oil painting. So a lot of it is like digital art that other people do, and they'll do like iPad drawings, and they'll just not to bash any other artists, but there are vendors out there who'll just kind of like trace a movie screenshot and
it's a difference,
and do it that way, and that's that's fine every now and then, as long as you're like putting your own spin on it at least. But like I've got my Shire painting back here, and that is a movie screenshot that I looked at to paint my own style of the painting. But I also love stuff like this one. This is one of my wife's paintings and that's a screenshot from a video game that I painted in my own style. And so, a lot of there are not a lot of people doing hand painted oil paintings in the Comic-Con world, and so I do feel like I stand out a bit. But even like New York Comic-Con, I got through like 2 layers of application for New York Comic-Con this year, only to be told that I wouldn't be given a spot this year because there are too many other people doing the same thing as me. And I was like, what? That's interesting.
They got 7,000 people on the floor doing comics, but
they wouldn't let me in because they said that there was too many other similar vendors. And I'm like, all right.
Now, I want to talk about your process for a second, because I had to go through your socials to pull these images off or whatever, and I feel like I got some good images, but you do some interesting things to get there. So you said that you took a screenshot, but I've also seen that you do some 3D printing to get reference, and then you're doing plotting sketches, and you're doing some things on the computer to kind of plan what your painting is going to be, and then you do all live painting for the rest of it. So from start to finish, kind of talk about your process a little bit.
Yeah, so the process starts with a thumbnail sketch. So I just take a sketchbook. I've got one right here. I take a sketchbook and I make little tiny drawings of the piece that I want to do. I guess this is not the right sketchbook. I have a lot of sketchbooks around. I do tiny drawings of the idea that I want to do. For example, here's a little dragon. You can kind of see it. We'll just little tiny boxes of like an idea. It's upside down. Little tiny boxes of an idea of like, this was a guy like looking up at a dragon. And so I just sketch out the idea a lot of times until I have like a basic shape, outline, silhouette of what I'm going for.
Idea.
And then I'll usually get on like Photoshop or Procreate, like a digital drawing, like on iPad or something, and I'll do a more like in-depth sketch where I kind of figure out some shapes better, figure out the silhouette. Sometimes I'll go into color, and then I'll often use 3D. I use a Blender. I'll do sculpting, 3D modeling, stuff like that. Here's a sculpture that I also 3D printed. So like this is a Assassin's Creed character. Bust that I made just through digital sculpting, and then I'll often use that 3D reference that I make as the reference for the oil painting. And I'll go back in and make a digital sketch that is more rendered out using the 3D reference that I made. Sometimes I'll also use like traditional clay. So like here's a little like maquette of a dude with like muscle, and like you can kind of pose this guy into interesting poses to match what you want to do. So just building reference from scratch, pretty much. Photo shoot is often involved. I'll take a picture of a friend or myself or my wife in like the pose, and then I'll use that as reference for the painting as well. I'll do a big oils on canvas. I'll take it with like a pencil drawing. I'll draw on the canvas, and then I'll go into traditional oil paints and finish out the painting fully hand painted traditional. That's kind of the whole process. And I'll scan that painting in and sell prints of it for cheap and sell the original painting for a lot.
That is so cool.
So you're using a lot of digital processes and practical processes and whatever. So like when you're looking
of old
at these,
and new.
right. And then when you look at the display that he's got, like I saw a dinosaur eye that looked like the original painting. And then in front of that on the table, you could see there were prints of it. So you got the original in the back, obviously for the most money, because that's the actual thing, but then you're selling it for prints and stuff like that. So you're using multimedia to create, and then you've got lots of different ways that people can buy your stuff.
Yes.
Cool.
Aaron, how good are you at drawing or creating, maybe even a 3D creation of hedgehogs? In doing my superhero, Paul Vato, hedgehog.
Nice.
Paul Vato was on a family show. I got to give you some context here because he's ridiculous. He played a baker, a fat hedgehog baker on a hedgehog children's show, and he won't shut up about it. So now he wants to get a 3D model of his face on a hedgehog body. Can you do that?
I bet I could figure it out.
He's an artist, baby.
You didn't have to say fat. I mean,
well, the character is fat. I didn't call you fat.
Okay, thank you.
There's another sculpture that I did. So,
I never called you.
Was that a Zeno?
Mm-hmm.
That looks like Tristan Jones's Xenomorph from Defiance.
Yeah, this is one of my sculptures. I sculpted
cool.
it. Sculpted this one mostly on the iPad. On like a
I'm going to drop my mailing address in the text here.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love sculpting.
The attention to detail on that, the texture on the even that's on the Xenomorph's head. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'll trade you a 97% finished ET for the Xenomorph.
Ooh.
There you go.
Good trade.
You see him in
this
their
is more of a
background,
technical question. What, if you don't mind sharing, because I've been looking at doing some 3D printing and things like that. What system do you use, or is there? I mean, is that a quick answer of what you enjoyed doing your 3D models from or with?
Yeah, so Blender is like the most basic of the most easily accessible in terms of like it's open source. Blender is an awesome program for 3D sculpting, 3D modeling. I use it for my scene layout. You can animate in it. You can Blender is an awesome program. I absolutely love it. And then I use a Bamboo Labs A1 printer for the filament printing, and then I have a Elegoo Mars 5 Ultra for video recording, resin 3D printing. So this is like a resin printed.
I know what that is. That's Hollow Knight.
Exactly.
My kid plays that 24 hours a day. My 12-year-old.
That one was resin printed using a 3D resin printer.
That's really cool.
And then painted with paints.
Right. cool.
I'm gonna have to invest in that. Brendan, do you mind if I ask Aaron about where we can find him? As far as a couple things, what do you have coming up? What shows do you have coming up? And then let us know where people can find you online, if you don't mind sharing that.
Awesome,
Aaron.
Yeah. So I've got Twin Cities Con is this weekend. That's in Minneapolis, and then the weekend after that, I have a local Kansas City show called Meeple-a-thon, which is a charity gaming event, lots of tabletop stuff. Then Planet Anime is the week after that, and that's also in Kansas City. And then the weekend after that is Fan Expo San Francisco, and I'll be in the Artist Alley section in that one. And then the first weekend of December is GalaxyCon Columbus. So that's the next 5 weekends that I have booked out back to back. And all of my social media and online stuff is Painted Dragon Studios.
Except on some of the socials, there's underscores between the words. I had to find that out the hard way.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you just Google Painted Dragon Studios, it'll all show up there.
Well, look, I mean, he's got a very distinct look too in his booth and his branding and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that's out there. It's called Painted Dragon, but Aaron's face is only on the stuff from Painted Dragon Studios. Anyways, thank you very much for your time. That was a great segment. I feel like it was really informative, and this is a side of the business that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you coming on and telling us about it, because even as press and going to these events, I don't see everything that goes into you guys getting prepared and setting up and everything. But I can only imagine it's twice as stressful as anything that I ever have to do. So
I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love it.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we got to have him on again, definitely.
Appreciate you guys.
You got it, Aaron. And that's what's so cool, right? Because like in a show like this, where we're constantly talking about the convention space, here you get someone who kind of goes into not necessarily the dark side, but the stuff that you may not know as well. You know what I mean? Like the stuff you don't hear about as much with the vendors, with the people who actually have some legit stake in this. It's easy for, the patron, for the fan, kind of like what some of us are, but Eric, Brendan, you guys, and of course, Aaron, you guys kind of know the other side of it. That's what makes hosting this podcast with you guys so enlightening and, just informative.
Yes, sir. That was going to be the proper lead out, but Eric tells me that we need a proper lead out. So that was segment 2. When we get back, we're going to talk about the comics keys for this week. Those are for the collectors that are out there. There are readers, there are collectors. It overlaps quite a bit, but just for the folks that are looking for what comics to go out and buy as maybe an investment this week, we've got 10 that we're looking at right after the break.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comicon.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comicon.com.
You know what I also noticed is that you go through the blue hat, the Dodger blue hat, so fast that you can't even notice that it's a San Francisco hat in Giants colors. When you, I think you did that as a rib.
I don't know if I did that intentionally. I chose the interview segments that I chose, right?
It's like NL National League West taboo, right?
So when I first moved to Bakersfield, I'm wearing Giants hats, and people would come up and they'd be like, "You're wearing the wrong color hat, bro." I was like, dude, it's baseball. Come on, right?
Yeah.
So I went and got a Dodger blue, because they'll sell you a hat now in any colors. Like this one's got 3 different, I don't know if you can see, there's a gray scale and a black one on there too. But they'll sell it in any color now. So you can get it in Golden State Warrior color, you can get it in Cardinals colors, whatever you want. And so I have a Dodger blue San Francisco Giants hat, and just the cut is so fast that it looks like I'm wearing a Dodger hat. And never in my life would I wear a Dodger hat for any reason. Not. Never.
I'm sure there's probably a Dodger hat that has the giant orange out there. Like it would look gaudy, but it probably like for the LA logo, especially since they also hate the Astros. In between the Giants and the Astros, they probably despise that color. But someone somewhere along the line, someone probably has produced a hat like that.
Now, do you want to hear some interesting baseball trivia before we go into the comics here?
Always.
Brett, since we're talking about logos.
Always.
So the New York Metropolitans were a expansion team in New York after the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants left.
Yep.
They took the orange from the New York Giants. Yep. They took the blue from the Dodgers. And they took the Giants NY logo and put it on the hats.
I love it. Yep.
So that's where like the Metropolitans got their entire look. It's like the 2 teams that split, they mashed them together, and that's the appearance that we got for the Metropolitans uniform.
And it's so basic. Like if you have a decent understanding and like just knowledge of baseball history, it makes so much sense. But it's like crazy how many people don't know that. Because like they think a lot of people don't even realize that they not only were, I think most people know that the Dodgers were in Brooklyn, that the Giants were playing in Manhattan for so long. I don't think they realize like the prominence they had. And the fact that Giants, that's the only rivalry in like sports, let alone baseball, that has gone from one coast to the other, because the New York Giants obliterated the Brooklyn Dodgers. Basically, the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers played for like 20 straight years to determine who was going to play the New York Yankees in the World Series. And then once they came over, the Dodgers started to find more success. The Giants had a little bit of a gap until 2010 where they kind of kickstarted their dynasty. Now the Dodgers are kind of kickstarting theirs. But that rivalry is so deeply rooted. I love that you bring that up, because most people don't realize the Mets' like coexistence is based off the remnants of what was behind. Yeah.
Because the Yankees needed a crosstown rival.
Absolutely. And you had three boroughs with baseball. I mean, now you have the Bronx and Queens, but at one point you had Manhattan, you had Brooklyn, you had Bronx, all with baseball. It was awesome.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you a trivia question to sit on until we get to the end here.
Ooh,
but can you name one? Could you name the 3 players that have played for all 4 original Major League Baseball New York teams?
Oh.
But you can think about it.
Yeah, that's
just don't
tough.
Google it.
No, definitely. Yeah, definitely not.
Right. So this week's Comics Keys, these are comics to look out for this week. They've got some first appearances. They've got some cool covers. They've got some collectible stuff. The first one we're going to talk about today is the Green Lantern Corps number 10. This one has a first appearance of Enquar, which is a new threat building an army to take on the Corps. Now, the Green Lantern series are not the most popular DC series. I like what they're doing with this one. It says, in the aftermath of Starbreaker supremacy, Oa shines brighter than ever as home to the entire emotional spectrum. But the shared planet, a patchwork of lantern territories, is rife with conflict as everyone adjusts to the new status quo. The newest lanterns, including Kelly, Vexaru, Aya, and Narf go through Kilowog's Core Academy while veteran teams search for the escaped Science Cell prisoners. Except the shocking return of a few legendary faces, ... and they don't finish that sentence. What do you guys think of this one?
Kyle Rayner, he's the legendary returning face.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what it is. Because, I mean, look at him in, like, the classic Emerald Twilight. No, not Emerald Twilight. The new era. After Emerald Twilight, like, it's his classic costume, like, that they buried for 20 years. But nice to see Kyle back being Kyle.
Yeah, especially with something that's emphasizing the Green Lantern Corps. You know, if it's emphasizing John Stewart or Hal Jordan or Guy Gardner, it's fine if you want to take more of a focused approach. But anything that emphasizes the Corps, I mean, if you're emphasizing the Green Lantern Corps, you want as much variety in there. And Brent, as you kind of laid it out there, they're intending to do that. And much like what Eric said, getting Kyle in there, it's just a good look because people want as much variety as possible. That's what makes this line kind of unique.
Yeah. Also, I love the fact that they haven't given up on Simon Baz or Jessica Cruz. Like, I love that those characters are there.
Yeah. Like, the variety in lanterns is part of the charm. Like, you don't want to go away from that. Right.
Well, who's the jerk lantern that was in the latest Superman movie? Like, you want to hate that guy, right?
That's Guy Gardner.
He's right there. He's got the
cut,
red cropped.
The bowl cut. Right. Yeah, Guy Gardner is like notorious for being that. So for Nathan Fillion to kind of tap into just the smug, douchery of it all, he was perfect.
Nice. All right, next one up is Spider-Man Wolverine number 7. This one's got a first appearance of Arachnix. Now, we've talked about the Amalgam comics, how they mash together like Batman and Wolverine. This one's mashing together Spider-Man and Wolverine for this villain named Arachnix. It says, a tale of 2 heroes, 2 different heroes, vastly different methods, and 1 mission only they can take on together. Why Peter and Logan? Don't miss the kickoff to the most surprising Wolverine and Spider-Man adventure at all. And the thing is they build this up like it's a massive surprise, but they tell you about it in the solicit. They tell you exactly what it is. It's a villain that's got both of their abilities, but then they're like, "Oh, you won't believe what's coming up," and it's like, you just told me.
Or it's a genuine surprise. Like, I remember going back to Green Lantern for a moment when Emerald Twilight was going to happen. They literally put fake solicits in previews so that you wouldn't know that Hal was going to break bad and kill all the lanterns. And the thing is, the fake story that they had in the solicits also sounded really good. It was the other Owens are returning, the Guardians are going to shut down the Corps. Like, it was a story that was like, I would legit read this. And then
but if you look up,
it's Hal destroys the Green Lantern Corps. Like,
but if you look at the cover of Spider-Man Wolverine number 8, Arachnix is on the cover. It's very much a mashup of the two.
Yeah.
So I've looked ahead to next month, and I'm telling you, exactly what you're looking at is exactly what they just described.
This is actually, and this is, don't be wrong, without Steve Johnston, we're going full head of steam here. But this is actually one, given Steve's takes on Marvel as of late, I'd love to hear what he has to say about it, because Marvel, it seems like the takes that collectively on the pod here kind of hit and miss. We all think they're intriguing to a degree because Marvel is so deeply rooted into the consciousness at this point. But at the same time, with what they're actually trying to do with these lines, sometimes it feels like a bit of a reach, a bit of a, a stretch, a cash grab. This, though, was cool just because you have two of probably the two most prominent characters in all of Marvel. It's something dramatic. Like you guys said, there's a mashup element on the cover. I feel like this kind of checks a lot of boxes for what Marvel has done for decades, but it may not necessarily make it a more interesting read than it would be otherwise. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's formulaic, and I don't even mean that in a bad way, but it doesn't necessarily provide any insight of whether or not this is worth checking out.
Well, and Paul, I'm sure you know both of these characters. What do you think of this mashup, this team up?
I love it. Well, yeah, because I'm such a fan, of course, growing up on Spider-Man, but then from the electric company or whatever. And then for some reason, Wolverine was always one of my favorites. When I first saw Wolverine or became conscious of him, I was like, what an amazing character. But then this is what a twist that it's a villain. And it's too bad that he gives it away, but I'd love to read it. If you guys could send me a copy, that would be wonderful.
Paul's all in. I love it.
I'm all in.
No, but I love that his investment stops at paying because he wants to read it, but he's not going to go into Steve's shop or get it from what's it, Midtown Comics ships. Tfal used to ship. I don't think they're shipping anymore, but there's 1,000 places you could get it for $5. But he's like, hey, if you guys could get that for free, I will definitely read the free copy.
Send me the digital copy. I don't care. Now, should I be reaching out to these distributors and so they can send me preview copies? Or you guys,
you can try. You can reach out to Marvel and stuff like that. So actually, you know what? Let's talk about this. The way that I get my comics for review, and the way that we get our comics for our team, is that because we're an established website that does reviews, we reach out to the publicity people, and they send us PDFs usually the week ahead. Sometimes, if they're really excited about a series that's going to drop or a new story arc or something like that, they'll send us something that's maybe a month out or 2 months out so that we can let people know about it, that we read it and what we thought about it before what's called final order cutoff. And that is the last day that your local shop can order comics and have them show up on New Comic Book Day. So they promote them all different kinds of ways, but we get these emails. I get one from Marvel, I get one from Skybound, I get one from Image, and then I look at the guys who are on my team or the people who are on my team that are reviewing or interviewing different creators or things, and I send out the PDFs to them for the comics that they're reviewing that week. So you can absolutely reach out and say, hey, I've got this podcast, I'm doing this thing, I'm trying to learn about comics, I'm an outsider doing these, whatever. And if they like your angle, they'll put you on their press list.
I love it. Okay, I will do that.
Paul's all right.
And then I'll post it. And then I'll post it publicly on my website. I'm just kidding.
So now we're going to hold you to it.
Wait, no. Hold up, though. There is a website that's out there that has abused this privilege, and I'm not going to say them by name because I don't want to get sued. But what you just said is, you're going to put it on your website. There are people that have done that, and there are people that when they say, I want a spoiler-free review of this comic that's coming out in 3 months so that we can use your words for the solicits and things, like comiccon.com says it's the best goddamn thing they've ever read. And there is a very well-known website that's out there that took that information, got the early copies, and they gave spoilers for everything that was in the book. They basically laid out page by page what happened in the book. And so now it's a lot harder to get on DC's list. It's a lot harder to get on Marvel's list. It's a lot harder to get on because they're trying to sell a product, and you've just completely destroyed their whole selling point on the product by telling people about it early. So there is that trust. And once you betray that trust, you're on everybody's shit list and you'll never get another one again.
Blacklisted.
As it should be.
Yeah.
As it should be. Yeah.
All right, next one up, and we talk about Spider-Man a lot because there's a lot of Spider-Man out there. It is one of Marvel's most well-known and best-selling characters. The next one up is Spider-Man Noir #2. I love Spider-Man Noir ever since I first saw him. I think it's Spider-Verse, and I was like, wow, that's really something. And the fact that they got Nicky Cage movie coming out and stuff, so they're leaning into this hard. In Spider-Verse, he mentions a villain called Hardboil. And this #2 has got the first appearance of Hardboil and possible first appearance of Plasma Man, which is mentioned in next month's solicit. So sometimes I have to look at the solicit from this month and from next month and the covers from next month. And that's how I knew about the other Spider-Man to see kind of what's coming up. And because the storyline in the next month's solicit it's kind of firm, makes me think that they might at least have a cameo appearance in this one. It says the cold case gets hot. The investigation into the death of George Stacy heats up, and Peter finds out the murderer's identity. Gwen Stacy's not going to like it, But in the meantime, meet the newest Spider-Man noir rogue, Hardboil.
So if the book is called Spider-Man Noir, is Gwen Stacy called Gwen Stacy Femme Fatale? Because that's what this cover is giving me, is Gwen Stacy Femme Fatale, and that's kind of cool.
It is cool. I wish that all of these covers and that the interior pages were all in grayscale, because this would be such a cooler cover, I believe, without the skin tone and the blonde on it.
Yeah, because then it would evoke the old, pulp magazines, crime caper, fiction, that this is all tapping into anyway. And I'm with you, Brett. Ever since Spider-Man Noir is one of those newer adaptations, of those newer like multiversal type of experiments that they in a direction they took Spider-Man that initially didn't seem conventional, but damn it, is it cool. And he's popular enough now to where it has some traction, to where he kind of has his own mythology, but he's new enough, right, to where people are kind of still learning and immersing themselves into that world all anew. So it's cool because this is timed at a point in time when a lot of people are probably just now really getting into Spider-Man Noir. Like you said, having Nick Cage, that element, that helps. But I just think it's just a really, really clever way of doing something that's kind of not even that original, but something that also is very, very unique. And when it's that unique and you could add your own spin on it, it doesn't necessarily need to be original, because as we talked about, they know the formula, they know what's going to keep people coming back. And if they could put their own twist on something that's been around for a long time, this is why you get an interesting take on the character.
Yeah. And there is a variant for this one that I actually like better. That's now see with
Spotlight.
I don't mind the red splash so much. It's almost a trash polka palette for this. But even if they did that, if they did Spider-Man Noir and there were just flashes of red, because that was used so well in Schindler's List and so many different places where everything is black and white, as if you've got these very, very important key pieces that walk through that you would not even notice if it wasn't that blood red or that bright color that's just there as an accent. Go ahead, Paul.
If you could go back to the previous one, Eric. Oh, I see. Okay, it was lost because on the bottom it just says, I just see Spider-Man. I didn't see Noir underneath it, and I was like, well, did it get lost? It's just, I think, on my screen where the Noir gets lost. But man, the next one does really hit with the black and white with a red splash. Yeah, that is, and I like the name on the top. And that, I don't know what's the print, the font that is in. I'm such a big fan of that type of font, from the 30s or 20s, 30s.
Yeah. I mean, it also evokes the pulp thing that Brett was talking about. Like it's very, you could very easily imagine as being
hard boiled, right?
Captain Satan or one of those like really obscure pulp magazines from the time.
No doubt.
If you guys could send me that one as well, I would also read it.
Well, this one is as Paul has expensive taste. This is a 1 in 25 incentive variant that's done by German Peralta. So your local comic store has to order 25 open order covers to get one of these. So you can expect to pay 2 to 3 times the cover price for a 1 to 25. When it's like a 1 to 100, you're going to pay probably like 5 or 6 times the cover price, because they have to order a massive quantity to get these incentive covers.
Amazing.
So that's going to cost you a good $15-$20, Paul.
Well, you know what? If I wasn't willing to pay one time, do you think I'm going to pay 5 times the
price? You just got to prioritize,
Nice. The next one up is it's a mashup. It's a team up between Batman and Static. It's Batman Static Beyond. This one, it's kind of vague. It says the first appearance of a new villain that causes a global blackout. Global blackout makes a lot of sense with Static. But you also lean into that. What's the trope with the electricity and the black superheroes? Because I kind of feel like they're leaning into that hard. Yeah. In the not so distant future, young hero Terry McGinnis patrols the streets of Neo-Gotham as Batman Beyond, while Virgil Hawkins, aka Static, forges a new technological revolution in Dakota City with the introduction of the Q-Wave energy grid. Together alongside the Justice League Beyond, the heroes prepare the Earth's induction into interplanetary alliance known as the Cooperative. Everything seems to be going smoothly until a villain arrives on the scene and puts everything at risk. And I'm going to leave the last half of that because that's enough information. What do you guys think of this one?
I love it just because I'm a huge fan of the cartoon. That's really kind of what got me into the Timverse. I kind of first saw Batman Beyond and then kind of retroactively, because at that time it kind of came out after the Batman, the original series, and the new Batman Adventures. But once I saw this, I retroactively went back and watched the original Bruce Timm cartoons, and they still sit to this day stand as my all-time favorite. I love the Terry McGinnis take on the character. And Static is just really cool. He's only been adapted in so many ways, so it's kind of hit and miss. But when done right, he's an awesome character. This intrigues me just because it kind of taps into a time and place of, my background as a fan.
Isn't that true of like any character though? Is like you can take a shit character like now. I know
always.
we talk a lot of crap about Liefeld, but Deadpool wasn't doing so great until who got on it? It was Joe Kelly and right that like kind of developed the character into the smart ass, into the breaking the fourth wall, into like all the stuff that we really love about the character now. But like in the original hands of the creators, it was just a meh character. And then when it was kind of sitting there for a while, and Kelly and what was it, McGinnis, I think it was, Kelly and McGinnis got a hold of it. All of a sudden, it's very, very interesting, and it's going all these different routes and stuff. It's like it's true of any character almost. You could take Goldball with the right writer and make him a compelling, right? It's like the most ridiculous character. He throws balls of gold, like, but you got the right team on it, and they take it the right direction. It's going to be fantastic.
And that's why certain characters who were popular in like the Golden Age, the Silver Age, kind of go through a lull period because they do the opposite. They kind of lose some steam, and even though you think they're like deeply rooted and established, people just stop caring because it just doesn't capture their interest.
Or I mean, look at Peacemaker, who was never popular.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And my God, Peacemaker is like the greatest character ever.
And all the characters surrounding them. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy with what James Gunn was able to do, no doubt.
Yeah.
Although one last thing on this cover is grown-up Virgil, grown-up Static looks awesome. That is such a great costume for him.
Yeah.
So was this a teen character that is now an adult? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah.
Sure, he's a teen character. He's kind of a Peter Parker-ish character. Not so much in personality, but kind of
age demographic,
young,
100%.
So instead of doing like the laboratory science, he's doing like technological science. So I can see the parallel there.
Yeah.
Paul, what do you think of this cover without knowing anything basically about these two characters?
I don't. I didn't realize that. I remember the teen superheroes, but I didn't realize that they followed them as to now as they grow up. I mean, I love the artwork. It's right up my alley. I love that, and if somebody sent me a copy, I would read it. No, if I saw this, and a lot of times when I was in the, buying comic books, it was all to do with the artwork. Besides my favorites like Conan the Barbarian, or was it Conan the Destroyer, the famous comic book, and
Barbarian Destroyer. There's like 16 different titles that Conan has, depending on the era, who was writing it, and
Well, let's say I somehow stumbled upon some when I was a few years old back in the 80s, whatever that was, the oversized comic with the art, famous artist, I think, doing the Conan work. But same with like even CDs when that was a thing, or albums, I would pick a lot of things, or books on the cover art. I go like, ooh, this looks interesting. So especially with comics, this is something I would definitely pick up and see, well, what's this about? Because I don't understand Batman Static until you explain it. But this is definitely right up my alley, and I love the artwork. It's beautiful.
Well, and you were talking about branding. I just noticed that the Batman in the logo is kind of pixelated, which leans into the technological lilt of Static and the team up.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, Paul, I'm pretty sure the oversized Conan magazine from the 80s was Savage Sword of Conan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was called.
I love it.
Savage Sword of Conan. Yep.
Yeah. You can kind of tell the era by what the title is, but all of them have Conan, some version of Chimerian in them. Some description of just barbarians. So barbarian, savage. Anyway. All right, next one up, and this one is topical because you just saw this movie, Erik, on an advanced screening because you got the Doctor Who connection. This is the official one-shot prequel to Predator Badlands. It's Predator Badlands #1, and they say nothing about it except a young Yautja warrior is giving a seemingly simple task by his father: retrieve a piece of tech from a derelict spaceship that crashed years ago. That is the entire thing, and I love this cover. I love this cover so much.
It's like right out of the movie.
Yeah.
It's got that amazing running, jumping, stabbing thing you see in a bunch of the action films and stuff. And, you don't know what that thing is at the bottom. Is that a plant? Is that like oil? I mean, there's so many different things it could be, but it's a really cool cover. It's got a lot of space on it for autographs and things like that. And the fact that it's a one shot, this isn't one that like down the road, 6 months down the line or something like that you're going to be able to get, you're getting issue 6 and you're getting the back issues of 5 through 1. So it's probably going to be pretty limited. I doubt that they're going to do a second release because it is tied to the release of the film.
Yeah. It's a cool cover. That is. I love this plasma sword thing that's being introduced in Badlands. Like it's such a cool piece of weaponry for the Predator.
And it's cool because on this, portion of the show, we usually tap into something that may have some type of adaptation that was kind of in the recent past or is upcoming in the near future. I mean, this movie is, it's as timely as it could be. Erik just saw an early screening of it, but all you see on, on TV and on the internet are different spots, different promos for it. So it's about to be a big thing. I mean, we know how big of the deal when Prey went out on streaming. Everyone loved that. And as Erik was telling us before we kind of got the recording going, this kind of taps into all the elements that made Prey so cool, and in some ways even goes in a different direction that the franchise has never gone before. So I love the fact that this is kind of representing that. Like you guys said, the cover, the artwork automatically captures your attention, but when you pair it to what you're seeing on your screen and like the visual form there, it makes that much more interesting because they're clearly are definitely working off of each other.
Well, no, and Erik mentioned the plasma sword. One thing that is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine is when they're doing prequels to things or they're doing, stuff that's supposed to be contemporary. Because in the original Predator, he had the little dart missiles and he had a very specific set of weapons. And then when you sit there and go, oh, but they had these much cooler weapons, like, okay, but why didn't the original Predator in 1989 have that weapon in it? Right.
It's like when everyone saw the Star Wars prequels, it's like, wait, why aren't the Jedis fighting like this in the original ones? Why is it just two geezers just tapping each other with sticks where they're like full-blown ninjas in the prequels? But obviously George Lucas explained the reason why. But when you first watch it without context...
because they got old, and old people had bad hips.
Yes.
Everything hurts and I'm tired. Leave me alone.
Enough said.
Because, one of them is a very old man and the other one is a robot. So, whatever you want to do with that is great.
His Lucas is as good as his Bale. This is why, Erik, this is why you are in this segment. In fact, it's Erik, from now on, Steve, you're done. Erik's in the show. Erik's the fourth head. Brennan, you're leading.
Well, we talked about bringing Erik on for this segment going forward, and I think that's the plan because Erik knows so much more about comics and movies than I ever will. It just makes sense. So this is great. This is great.
And if you know what, and if anyone needs to, should be asked to step away during this segment, I mean, I know it would be me anyway, so I'd be more than happy to.
Hey, Erik, what's funny about the Lucas impersonation?
Paul Comics.
Yeah, right. What's so funny to me about the Lucas impersonation, when everyone does it, they kind of go with that same cadence, and everyone wants to use like space wizards, and it makes me wonder if in his pitch he ever actually used the terms. It's almost like a Mandela effect. Did he ever actually utter the word space wizards? Because it's a perfect way to describe it, but it's almost like people use it as if it's like an actual quote. You know what I mean?
I don't think he's ever actually said space
wizards. No, I don't think so either.
No, he described it as a space western.
Yeah.
He's space western, right? But here's the thing, because I actually am reading the making of Star Wars right now. He was never a fan of the term lightsaber. That was something a couple of his friends added.
Okay.
He loves the term laser sword.
And we've only heard that once in the Phantom Menace when Anakin says it. Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
That's crazy.
So he went back and he's like, I need to fix the terminology here. So I'm going to have the little cute kid.
You know what? He just kind of fist pumps on the background because he was back directing for that one because he didn't direct Empire, he didn't direct Jedi, but he was in the director's chair for Phantom Menace. He's like, oh, we going to say laser sword in this movie. I love it.
Next one up is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Godzilla #1. This one says, long before the organization was corrupted by the Shredder, the Foot Clan's original purpose was to save Japan from kaiju. I don't know that I like that because it seems like they're retconning. But anyway, now in present day, Godzilla and its fellow monsters have appeared. Not only is the Foot not ready to stop them, it would seem Shredder himself is behind the attacks. The villainous ninja is attempting to use the kaiju to create a new mutagen, one that will give his henchmen a massive upgrade. I hadn't actually read the solicit till just now. I was thinking how cool it was they did the crossover, but I have some problems with that solicit because that's not the origin story.
Right. Yeah, it seems a little loose. I will say the one thing I really like is the visual because it kind of goes with like, what is it, the Showa version of the Godzilla character, with more like the cat-like face. You kind of really get that there. You get the muscular definition. You almost can hear the roar when you look at it. And I love how you get the four turtles around them. As far as like what you said in terms of what the actual context is, who the hell knows? It may be all over the place and it may not do any of the characters justice. But at the very least, I do love this cover because it really looks like, if you were to just bring up to someone on the street, if they're a comic book fan, Ninja Turtles and Godzilla, I'm kind of picturing a cover like this.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing is, so this cover really leans into the turtles, right? They're the focus. Godzilla is there, but is in the background, right? So you really get the definition and everything of the turtles. Now, if you look at this next cover, this is the Dylan Burnett foil variant. It's a 1 in 25. And this one really focuses on the monster with the turtles being present, but not really being focused on. And this is a much more Godzilla-centric cover, whereas the other one is a much more turtle-centric cover.
Good point.
And it actually looks the more modern Godzilla because he's got because he's been doing Arm Day and Chest Day with Godzilla.
Yeah, so. The new Godzilla, like Godzilla's always been pretty yoked, but the new Godzilla is absolutely jacked. And it's because this shows the actual kaiju element. It kind of seems like it's more like Ninja Turtles tag team with Godzilla in the last cover, where this is more like, oh crap, we're dealing with Godzilla. So it's a scaling type of thing as well.
One, I like the electricity just starting to pop out of his mouth because if you remember the toys, you would spin the wheel on the back and it would throw the sparks out its mouth, and that's what this reminds me of. Is just like it's warming up to send an energy blast or something.
Yep.
Paul, you remember those tin toys from the '80s that you had the little sparker in the back?
Yeah, it's a little bit before my time, but no, I absolutely, of course, yes. I
was trying to get him to admit that he was born in the '60s because that's when those were really from. But yeah.
So when I was 24, I loved them.
I mean, I look, I am in my 20s now. I know I look like crap. But,
So what are the chances that there's going to be a page in this thing where Shredder is riding King Ghidorah? Right? You kind of have to do that,
right? That would be the ultimate entrance. That would be kind of cool. So what head is he on? Is he on like the center, or is he like right behind the center neck? Would it be?
Right. Yes. Kind of.
Well, because right? Fork, right. So he puts his legs around the center head, and then the other two necks kind of like make a saddle.
Point. Yes. Now I kind of hope it happens. Just holding up like the scepter or whatever, the trident or whatever staff weapon he has. Yeah. Oh man, that'll be sick.
Nice. All right. Next up, we have Venom number 251. This one says reintroduction of Blue Streak, possible first appearance of a new individual since Blue Streak was killed in Punisher number 9 in 2009. And it's a debut of a new Venom design. Now, I don't know about you, but it kind of feels like to me that every time they do a new Venom design, it turns out to be a new symbiote. It's a new character altogether. So I don't know if I buy that it's a new Venom. But it says, break the streak. Doc Ock is back as director of operations for SCAR. And he's got the all-new toxin in his sight. Luke Cage isn't happy, but will New York's mayor choose to side with human law or symbiote justice? Plus, MJ gets a new gig, Venom gets a new look, and the rollicking return of Blue Streak.
Ooh. I mean, I think you bring up a great point about Venom, especially with all the different symbiotes now out there. You don't know if it's the actual Venom symbiote or if it's something somehow related to them. But I mean, symbiotes have kind of they've been like hot and cold ever since like the early 90s. It's kind of, you just have to catch them right. So it's one of those things where it kind of picked back up because of the movies, whatever your opinion is on the movies, but they kind of re-entered the conversation. But I'm with you, Brennan, like visually Venom always does it, but you always kind of take the risk with Venom of the dice roll of thinking or of going into it with the thought, this may not be great, because a lot of times it seems like Venom creators don't even know what they're doing with the character, but visually it's always going to pop.
Well, and it's a weird perspective too, because you see the gold is the addition here, the gold eyes and the gold chest piece.
Yeah.
But the way it goes down the hip, and then that they have that rear leg going straight back behind, it's a weird kind of presentation in this one where you can't really tell what's going on there.
Also, this color scheme makes me think this is really the uncanny Venom. Right, and maybe it's, I don't know, Hank McCoy under there,
right?
Or
kind of have that
X-Man, right?
Golden Age X-Men or like Silver Age X-Men get up with the yellow. Even it kind of screams that vibe, I guess you could say, that aesthetic.
Is that cash? Is that money? Oh, I see the money bag. No, I didn't even see the money bag. I'm like,
that is a money bag. Look at that.
Yeah, on the right in his backhand. Yeah.
When I had to look at this too, because they're falling. This is not running on a street. They're falling. from
Oh,
distance.
yeah. Okay. Yes, I see it now. I thought they were running, but you're right. They're falling.
You're right. They are. They're falling to the city floor or whatever. Yeah. That's actually really cool. Yep.
Because those lights below them would be like windows that they're passing on the way down.
Right.
Yeah. Weird. All right, so there is a variant of this one, and this one is a 1 of 100. It's the Puppeteer Lee Virgin variant, and so this one I liked because it's got MJ on there. They said that there's a new role for MJ, so that means that there might be a new person inside the Venom suit, which means that it might also be a new symbiote. There's all the mites that we talked about, but this is a cool cover because it's one of those things where it shows the struggle between the host and the symbiote.
Yes,
because every time that's the big pushing thing of Venom that we have is Brock is going nuts because he wants to be a good guy, but he's not a good guy. But then Venom is making him a worse guy. So I think this was a really cool cover, and it shows kind of the elasticity of the suit itself and the Clintar. And but you've got this like kind of almost helpless but fighting pose that MJ's in.
Yeah. I mean, the appeal of the symbiotes in general, at least visually, is how they kind of engulf the host, how they become one with the host, but how it very much is an outer shell of the person actually inside. You have an alien life form consuming another alien life form, and they become exactly that, a symbiotic bond. But a lot of times we only see that after the fact. This is, you literally get to see the process of it, which has been done in cartoons and movies, but it's something that kind of always will look cool because at the end of the day, it all goes back to this blob of goo in, wrapping itself around the person. That's what you get here.
Hmm.
Also,
for those that don't know,
texture is really nice too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
you see it almost like a little bit of a liquefying effect on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're about to say, Paul?
This is a Virgin cover, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I want one of those also. 1 in 100. Okay, so what's that going to cost me?
Jot it down.
1 of 100. That's going to go. This is probably a $40 comic.
Send Paul comics, please.
But Paul. So let's see what you've learned. What does a Virgin variant mean?
The Virgin variant is the one preferred by virgins. No, it does not have any writing.
It's G-rated.
Text on the screen, which is great if you're seeking autographs. There's more space for that. But a Virgin variant is, in my opinion, just like a beautiful piece of artwork, and it's not being messed up with
corrupted
with the brand, the title, anything on there. It's just pure art. I love it. And that's really good. The verbiage you were missing is trade dressing, so it doesn't have the corner box or the title or the creators or anything on it. And that's what it is. It's a piece of art. So this is one that you would get signed or that you get framed. And because the regular version of this that has the trade dressing, I think, is a 1 in 25. This one's rarer because, right there, if you look at where the title would be, it goes right across Venom's head. So you miss part of the artwork. So these Virgin variants really give you, a bleed to bleed artwork instead of like having that, that terrible side head that they're doing for the Ultimates, where it takes a quarter of the art away. It really just lets the art speak for itself. This right here, as is frameable. You can go and get this graded, and it comes back in a nice case, and there's nothing that's messing up the image whatsoever. Well, I didn't want to say trade variant just because I didn't want to talk over the head of many of our listeners and maybe some of the people on this panel. But it's beautiful. And thank you for reminding me. Trade variant. Trade dressing.
Perfect. There you go.
That's perfect.
It's all good, Paul. Just cram the night before. You'll pass.
Paul doesn't have to worry about getting fired. He's just going to leave. It's like,
it's like, bye.
It's like, you can't fire me. I quit.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I mean, that's all that I've got for today. So since I'm done, I figure we're all done. Well, let's go ahead and Paul wanted to do something with the. You had something about the Vato coin and uniques or something. What is it, Brett?
Really quick, because I want to go ahead and give Paul his time. I'm going to take a shot at the question you asked earlier for trivia.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
I only, just for clarification, you're not talking about necessarily played in New York. You're just talking about all the organizations that were in New York at one time, right?
Correct. There are 3 players that played for all 4 original New York baseball teams.
Okay. Well, the only one who I can guess, who, even though he didn't play, he played for the Dodgers and the Giants post New York. I know Darryl Strawberry is one of them. He played
He played for the Yankees, the Metropolitans, the Dodgers, and the Giants.
And the most iconic is his run with the '86 Mets. Of course, he had some good years with the Yankees, even some good years with the Dodgers. The Giants was a little bit in the back of his career. Who are the other two, though? I'm dying to know.
Ricky Leday.
Okay.
And Vizcaíno.
There you go. See, I wouldn't have guessed. Yeah. That's great trivia. I was throwing at the mouth because it's always one of those things you're all like, it's never going to be someone predictable, but it may be a name that you know. Because Darryl Strawberry kind of pops, but those names for the baseball nerds, they'll pop. But it's just so cool because it kind of shows that, most people, if you ask them that question, it's not a trick question, but they'll overthink
it's a trick question.
Yeah,
it's a trick question because they try to think of it when it's in New York and it's not.
Exactly. Right. They're going to think, but they have to be before 1958 or 57 or 56 or whatever. But if that's the case and they were playing for the Mets, then they would have to go back in the early 60s. But it's a great question. I love that. I wonder if Steve would have gotten that because I know Steve's a big baseball nut too. But
so he's not going to watch the episode. You can ask him next time.
Right. Just text him. Right.
Yeah. All right. So Paul Vato, you had some crap you wanted to talk about, I guess. So go with that.
Once again, it's absolutely not crap. It's amazing products. It's this is going to take me a little bit some time because I really like to explain it perfectly. What you get when you invest in Vato coin. So basically, it's a community.
Yeah, let's go. It's Brett again. 31 flavors.
Crypto.
Yeah,
crypto
31 flavors. 31
enthusiast. If you go to Vadocoin.com. Erik, people can still hear me, right? So Vadocoin, just go to paulvato.com and also may pick up a copy of the Kama Sushi. Thank you guys. I really appreciate all the time that you guys give. Guys, are you still? Hello?